So far, we've been having a great conversation with Mike Daley about Kill the Flashover and other cool fire service stuff that he's doing out there. We're just pulling up to Jeni's Ice Cream, so we continue that conversation with some frozen treats. So yeah, this is Jeni's Ice Cream, pretty famous in this area. So hopefully you can eat the ice cream. I know you wanted cookies, but we'll get some ice cream for you.
Nobody ever complains about ice cream.
Hello, how are you? Good. Let's see. What do you guys have here? There's all kinds of stuff. I'm going to get a scoop of the milkiest chocolate.
And I'm going to try the honey vanilla bean and the salty caramel.
Wow.
Going to live large.
Sounds like a great combination.
It's that sweet and salty, right? It's that mix.
So you said you've been teaching at Firehouse for almost 20 years?
Yeah, almost 20 years. Wow. Yeah, 2 decades of it. Yeah.
What other conferences have you had an opportunity to go hang out at?
I did about 15 years with FDIC. Taught at Reno Fire Tech. Was out your way.
Right.
Did Firehouse World a few years. We did Firehouse South, I think it was called. We were down in Orlando a couple times. So yeah, I've been doing the conference deal kind of since '99. Was the first conference I ever taught at without an FDIC. Yeah, so what, 22 years, something like that?
Yeah.
A long time. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if Firehouse is coming back West Coast anymore. We're having problems with numbers out there, and so thank you very much.
Well, let's hope.
Yeah. Let me pay for those. Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good day. You too. All right. Get a little waffle cone corner for you too. That's
almost like a cookie. It's almost like a cookie.
So I know the other big thing with you, right? You are black belt.
Yes, I am. 3rd degree.
3rd degree in Taekwondo. Is that what it is?
Taekwondo.
Okay. And you and your son do that together?
Yeah, he started. He started before I did. He started about a year before I did, and he was testing out for his first rank move up, and he had to break a board after I think the 3rd or 4th belt. He has to break a board. I forget what color it was, but I was there, and I got to hold his first board, and he broke it first shot. And the instructor, Master Guzman, who's a 6th degree master, said, "Hey, why don't you come out and work out with your son?" And ever since then, I've been going. My son and I competed at the state level for a few years. We were state champ in combat and sparring and weapons a couple times. So
wow.
Yeah, we stopped competing a couple of years ago. He wants to focus a little bit on high school sports now that he's a freshman. So
right. Like your size wasn't intimidating enough. But
you know what? Like I told my son, I wanted him to be able to have some discipline and be able to protect himself. That's all. If he never gets into a fight, that's fine by me. As a matter of fact, I got a phone call from the school one time. His friend was being bullied by another kid, and he stood in front of this other kid, didn't throw a punch, didn't threaten to beat anybody up, just stood there and said, "Man, you got him, and you're coming after me." And the phone call I got was the praise of him being an upstanding kind of guy that saw that there was something going on. He was still in middle school when he did this. So, and it's funny because he knew the principal's office called me, but he didn't know why. So I picked him up from school, and I said, "Hey, I got a call from the principal's office," and his eyes started to tear up. I said, "What's the matter?" He said, "I don't know why they called you." I told him why. I said, "Did this really happen?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Okay. Hey, you did the right thing. And it's great that you did the right thing." And I said, "How do you feel about it?" And he said, "Well, both of them are my friends. But I knew what the one guy was doing was wrong."
Yeah.
And he learned the very important rule that doing the right thing always isn't the easiest thing. It's always the right thing, though.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we just need to start Taekwondo in the fire station, and then we'll be good. But yeah, same thing. My son, Riley, he was taking Taekwondo for many years. He got to black belt. And my daughter, Loria, she's 7. She just got her orange belt last week.
Oh, she's not far away.
Yeah, she's doing pretty good.
Did your son keep going after he got his first degree?
he ended up falling out of it. The school closed down. He went to another school, didn't really like the instructor, and then just kind of, but now that his sister's in it, he's starting to come around to when she's going and thinking about it, but who knows?
Well, who you train with is a big part of it. I mean, I've been with Master Guzman since we started. My son has trained with him for the last 9 years. I've been with him for 8 years. He's moved to 3 different places. I drive past 3 other schools to get to him.
Right.
Because he's that good. So.
Well, when you bring up bullying, so I'm actually writing a book through Penwell right now, and it's the class that I taught today. It's Strategies and Tactics for Employee Fires, and we take fireground terminology and apply it to the human elements in the firehouse. So we use RECIO, how do you rescue them from themselves, who's the exposure, ventilate, like get them to express what's going on, and all the way through the overhaul and salvage process. And in the book, Dave Emanuel is doing a bunch of stuff on bullying out on the conference circuit. He actually wrote the chapter on that, and we're comparing it to arsonists. So like if you look at a lot of the same reasons for bullying, juvenile behavior, terrorism, vandalism, it's kind of the same types of reasons that we have bullying. So he's writing that chapter right now, a couple more things to finalize that up, and hopefully it'll be out by April. It's been some good stuff.
It sounds pretty interesting. We've really gone full circle from the time where the ribbing or the kidding around with people in the firehouse, and you had to be able to have a thick skin at one point,
right.
And be able to take your licks. But now, with such a diverse population in the fire service, now you really got to be careful. You really do. It's got to be
and even when there was the thick skin, there was probably some stuff that we were doing that was well past the thick skin thing.
No, I would agree, probably, probably. But if we want to be treated like professionals, then we have to start acting like professionals too, not only on the fire ground, but in the firehouse as well.
But there is definitely a change in building construction of the firefighter in the firehouse.
Well, I would agree.
There's a lot more lightweight construction.
I would agree. I would agree. I wish there was just more time to spend with them before they get assigned or before they get put into that position where they're not comfortable with their skill level or their performance. It just seems like sometimes we run them through almost like a conveyor belt system. Okay, stretch the line, put out the fire. Next, stretch the line, put out the fire. Next, stretch the line. It's just so much more to it than that.
Yeah. Well, it's just like the stuff you guys are doing at KTF and all that. There's definitely so much more to everything in the job that we're seeing.
I get a lot of people. It's odd you mention that because a lot of the people that I teach with back in New Jersey always ask me about. I do a lot of fire behavior stuff. I do it at the college level. I do it with KTF. Always ask me about, hey, how do I get involved with KTF? Oh, well, you got to take the class, and at some point I even had people, well, want to come down and do the burn. Not a problem. We're going to be, I think 2 years ago was our last burn. No, I'm sorry, 3 years ago. We did in 2018. Here's where we'll be. Here's when it'll be. You're invited to come. It's on your own for airfare. We work out deals with hotels, and they never show up. And everybody always asks, how do I get involved? I've gotten to the point where here's the website, here's the application, jump on board. There's never, I shouldn't say never. There's so many people that have the potential to increase their capabilities, but don't want to do the work to do it. They just don't want to do the work to do it.
Well, it's just like the conference circuit. Like everybody's like, how do you become an instructor? It's like, you're doing all this stuff for free for the most part.
Yeah.
They'll cover your airfare if you're lucky and a hotel, but
yeah.
You're putting in the time because you like doing it.
Sure.
You're not getting rich going and doing the conference circuit.
Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, you usually, like you said, you usually lose money. Mm-hmm. That's okay. But so what's one of the things that you get out of coming to the conferences?
Like everybody, it's the networking. I do it on camera with ice cream, but it's still the same thing, But networking is obviously the biggest part. And like you, I try to stay around for as much of the conference as I can and go take classes and learn something too.
To me, it's the recharge of the batteries, seeing like-minded individuals in the fire service. You don't always have everybody that puts in the effort that we do back home. You don't have everybody that does the studying that we do back home. You don't have as many people that put the time in to sit in class like we do. So for me, it's just really a recharge to remember that, you know what, you're not alone. There's a lot of people out there like you.
Right.
You know, and there's a lot of people that want to hear what you have to say or want you to share the experiences, and there's a lot of people that want to learn from some of the things that we've done. So it's a really good recharge to me.
Well, that's the thing. Some of those best conferences, most of the learning goes on at tables like this, at lunch or dinner or after, you know.
The last year we were in Nashville, we had 12 people out for dinner. I had John Dixon, Angie Starnes, Tommy Anderson, I had Joey Baxter, Joey DeVito, Steve Prisborowski, Russ Kane out of Gaelton Fire Protection District.
Right.
We had a couple other guys from the show, and we ate. Well, we talked for 4 hours. We ate, we talked, we compared things. It was just, you know, you're right. It was probably more educational sharing at that table for 4 hours than it was for the whole week while we were in Nashville. But you know.
Firehouse Vegas. You were there at that one when they did it in Vegas this last time?
No.
Yeah, I think there might have been a time I was at the table with you at one of those shows at dinner. So like on one of those long tables where there's like just a ton of people there.
Firehouse World.
It might have been, and I know Priz was at the table with us. So
yeah, it probably was one of those because I've done San Diego a couple of times. I actually did Sacramento for FDIC West a couple of times. So yeah, odds are probably pretty good. You know.
How's your ice cream? Gone.
Very good.
Man, I'm behind. I got only one scoop too, I think.
And this is the recharge is what I think what gets a lot of people coming back. Being able to sit down, you know, talk with a lot of people who share that interest. Otherwise, if you were just left to the results that you have at home all the time, that might not be a super positive experience for a lot of people.
Right.
That's a tough nut, you know. It really is. All the more reason to make sure that you can make that positive influence on them before they get back to their station. You know?
Well, I'm trying to motivate them all to come to the conference too. I mean, luckily with my training business, I got enough people that I can try to float. Like, look, I'll pay for you to go to the conference. You know, just
that's great.
Take the time off. I'll send you. But it's unfortunately, like you said, offer them to come down to the burns, get involved with the KTF, but it's it's not as easy as you would think.
I don't know how you feel, but to me it seems like the change has to happen from the top down at this point, and the trickle-down effect has to come from there. And we have so much influence over the recruit or the person, a 2-year person or 3 years even in a job that's trying to find their footing, if you will, in the profession and seeing where they belong. More, you know, ladder company, more engine, maybe some rescue folks come out of this. We have influence already there, but what hurts is when they have to go back to their department or their organization or even their station and say, hey, you know, I got this really cool skill they showed me, I want to show it to you, and then it just gets shot down. Right. It's the same with the changes in the science and fire behavior. If we're not, and the biggest issue we had trying to make the change where I'm at is trying to get the brass to say, okay, well, let's look at this, let's train on it, and let's see what the application is. So, you know, we're a 4-platoon system, and like a lot of departments, you know, it's almost like you have 4 different fire departments working under one roof, you know. But if you can't, if you can't get the decision makers at the top to agree, it's just never going to fly.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the solution is to that yet. I really don't.
Well, and they're always obviously worried about the money. It's like, it's a dollhouse. It's not going to cost me that much money. When it all comes down to it.
Right. You know, it's amazing. I had a department in New Jersey, 180 career firefighters and a contingency of volunteers. And they saw the class, the fire behavior class we do, Brother Dixon and I do, and they brought us in 2 times a day for 4 days straight. I had to build 8 of these burn houses. It's funny because it was in like November or December, so I was doing all this in my garage, and my kid comes out in my garage to grab something out of the freezer, and he goes, you know, this looks kind of like a lollipop guild you have going in the back here. I go, yeah, well, you know, but and that's, to me, that's a progressive thing. They saw, and I got the call from the deputy chief. I didn't get, you know, the local lieutenant or the captain that saw this and had to sell it. It was, hey, this is what we see coming down the road.
Right.
I want you to do this, but I can't put my whole shift out of service every day, so I want you to do it twice.
Right.
So we're going to send the north end town to come in and do it to you, and then we're going to put the north end on duty. We're going to send the south side in to do the training, and we're going to host everything. You tell me what you need, and we're going to get it for you. And it was great. You know? And every one of them that came there had that open mind and said, you know, it's amazing how we look at this and say, not that we were doing it wrong, we were doing it differently, and that we can do it so much more efficiently based on what, you know, just the basic tools that we have on the rig and what we see when we first show up. So that's kind of why I say, if you can make that change at the administrative level and get it to trickle down, I just think we're going to be a lot more successful. And I'm not a chief officer, although I was threatened to be one. You know, I still like to think that there are some progressive officers up at that rank that want to do the right thing and aren't in it just for the money. But sometimes I have to agree, not only that, to get to a point in your career where, like, okay, I've reached my pinnacle, there's nothing left for me to do. And that's dangerous.
Yeah.
That's incredibly dangerous. You know, with the dynamic changes that happen in our profession all the time, that's just no outlook to have. It really isn't.
Yep, unconscious incompetence again, like we just talked about.
Keith Villo coined that term, and boy, it fits a lot.
Yeah.
But once they find out, and like I had that moment when I joined the USAR team about, well, I didn't even know what we didn't even know. It depends what you do with it from there. It really does.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, USAR, hazmat, all.
Yeah.
There's just so much stuff.
Incredible amount of stuff that needs to be covered and done and practiced. And, you know, even, I don't know how you schedule your training at work, but, you know, in the heat of the summer, I'm not scheduling my engine company to go out and grab a plug and throw water. Come on. The reality of it is, I want the guys to stay fresh, stay hydrated. If we do have a fire, I want them to be ready to perform. But when it's October, November, yeah, there's really no reason to go out there and not practice putting hose on the ground when the weather's a little bit more comfortable. You know, so I use my summer months and my extreme winter months for my annuals. I use my summer months for the classroom stuff. We just did a 16-hour NFPA rope class for all our members. So we did that in August. We started in August, finished it in mid-September. Actually, this week was the end for the last platoon. Their last day was the day before I left to come here. So we got it all done. But at least the weather was a little friendlier. Yeah. You know. So next month we'll be doing confined space. We're doing another 16-hour OSHA-approved class that we authored in department. And we've got 19 lift stations that we protect alone in our town, and we're on the border of 3 counties, so we are the first in emergency response rescue team for a lot of counties too. So with the changeover that we had in staffing, we're running the class again, and the last time we ran the class, my son was 2, so it was 12 years ago. And, you know, even a lot of the senior members, oh, we're doing this again? Yeah, because you know what's changed in 12 years? I mean, the standards have changed, the rules have changed. We've gotten new equipment, we've gotten better equipment. You know, luckily we have a new chief who seems to be a lot more progressive than our old administrator was. He came to me and said, listen, I know you've been barking about rescue equipment for years. What do you need? I got some money. Let's talk. And, you know, again, I empowered my other training officer. He sat with our other assistant training officer and said, hey, what do you think? And they came to me and I said, yeah, man, I'll support it. And, you know, our chief's, you know, off to a pretty good start and helping with the mission. So, and that's what I mean. You know, he's starting to show some. You know, he come from our trenches, so he's starting to show that he gets it. You know, and he's, you know, you're putting it in him, let it trickle down, and then all the members start to see the benefit to it. So we're off to a pretty good start that way. You know, from that administrative change that we went through at the beginning of this year. Yeah. So hopefully it keeps going that way. For me, it seems to think that that's the way that if you're going to really advocate change at this point, we're going to have to try to move it from the top down. But we're not as big as your department, though, so it's a little harder, I would think, for you to facilitate. We
are definitely a big ship that is hard to steer, and most of the time we're in Titanic mode anyways. So, we've already hit the iceberg multiple times. But it's one of those things, like the dollhouse doesn't take that much, and really it's great training. Like, I know when they first started doing it, like Greg in Fresno was doing it and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, oh, the dollhouse, what can you learn from that little fire in there? And now it's just swept through. Everybody's got a dollhouse. At Red Helmet Training at my facility, we have a Wildland table. Like, we started out as a tabletop and digital simulation company. We have a huge city table, all HO scale model railroading. Nice. And we do structure fires and MCIs on that. But then we have a sand table for the wildland, and then we have a burn table where we actually cover it with sand, and then we cover it with hamster bedding, and we actually light it on fire. And we have like little paper houses, and you'd be amazed watching these guys freak out because we're burning down like paper houses, you know. And it's literally some of the best training you can get, and you can build it at your own fire station. 2 sheets of ply with some sand and some hamster bedding, and you're off to the races.
Well, there you go.
You know, we have a lot of the cool little fire engine toys and all that, but You can get a stapler as a fire engine. I don't care what, but you can still do exactly what we're doing at our training company all the time.
Well, the virtual reality concept of the training, I think kind of has run its course, where we have firefighters who are great suppression artists with their two thumbs, but and we do all facets of rescue in my department. So if you're gonna cut cars, I'm not going to talk about it. We're going to cut them. If you're going to do confined space, I'm going to put you in a space. And when we built our new Engine 5 headquarters, we built a confined space simulator. So we have a place to train along with the lift stations.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take much. You're on duty. It's there. The rope is in the rescue. We have training ropes specific for it. There's really no reason not to do it. But you're right. The burn houses. One sheet of OSB, I usually get a burn house out of. So actually, we're doing a couple classes for New Jersey. One is next week. One is October. So I have to finish up that house. We shipped a couple houses out to Colorado. We're going to be in Gailton in the 21st to the 24th of October, doing some thermal imaging and fire behavior training. And it doesn't take much. A couple $100 in resources, a little bit of sweat equity, and you'd be surprised.
Have you guys changed the design of the dollhouse over time?
Yes, we have. We have. I mean, we've built a couple. I actually built a basement fire simulator with a second floor vent, a first floor vent, which we used in one of the departments that we burned with, which was phenomenal. We got some great video out of that. We just did a single story 4-room pitch roof building that we're going to be using in one of the New Jersey state classes. We did we did one evolution where we showed it the inverse square rule. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. Where we lose 50% of the energy source once it passes through a threshold. So we literally built a double box. We had a fire in the back, and we can literally take measurements in the front room and see the difference in energy output in the back room and the front room. What else did we do? We did that. I actually have one I'm going to try for the second time. First time it didn't work that well. I want to build a smoke explosion simulator. So I have a fire on the first floor, and I have a second floor room built with an open doorway where the smoke's going to come up through the bottom.
Right.
And I'm going to have an ignition source, and I'm going to see if I can get it to the point where the introduction of heat will take that room and make it pop.
Wow.
First time I don't think I created enough mixture right, because I don't think I had enough air entrainment in the first floor area. I had a nice backdraft on the first floor because the fire was back here and it came through a doorway here, and my entry door was here, and I had a nice backdraft that I caught on video, but I could not get enough of the mixture right on the second floor, so we're going to try it again next week.
Nice.
So you don't lose, you learn.
So when the students are taking the KTF University, you're giving them plans to build a dollhouse, or they build their own?
They build. They're welcome to download the ones that are on the internet.
Gotcha.
We offer ones that it depends on their hypothesis. What is it that they want to prove?
Oh.
So everybody comes up with something that they want to show. I want to show how a flashover happens. Okay, so you really a cut and dry first floor kind of thing will work. Or I want to show a backdraft, or I want to show how energy travels and what a closed door does. All right, so we'll build a 2-story with a closed door and a vent in the roof. It's really based on their hypothesis, and it kind of lays the foundation through the craftsman program, where they get to the second part, they get the why from a fireground scene, and then the how, when we get the building, we let them develop their hypothesis and then determine if it'll work or not. So in 2018, just to give you an example, my hypothesis was, if I take a room to flashover, can I pull enough intake air in a bidirectional flow to pull water in with the air track? And if not, will it work on a unidirectional flow? So the way I set this up was we had a fire, and we had a single-story house that we were allowed to use, and Chief Davis out of Oak Grove, who's a big supporter of us. Can't say enough about the Oak Grove Volunteer Fire Department. They help us out suppression-wise. They get us what we need. They help us with the live burn permits. Everything's done at FPA. Chief Davis is a phenomenal resource. He got us a single-story house, and we took the back bedroom. We had a hallway, a 16-foot hallway that went around the back of the house, and then we built a hallway 12 feet long. We separated the kitchen, put up a wall, separated the living room, out of play. Can I, because it's not about spread, it's about can I get air moving. So we had Todd Fell from Flashpoint Simulation come down, hang thermocouples. We had Insight Training help us out with thermal imaging cameras, remote control. We had optic cameras as well. We had anemometers placed to measure air track. Yeah, so here's the thing. If we're going to prove it, let's prove it. Right. And again, let's go back to what Chief Joe Starn said, best chart wins. Bring your facts. So we started with fire, and our measurement, our data point was 1112 degrees ceiling temperature, which is lean flashover. I am in flashover when ceiling temperature is at 1112 degrees. At 1112 degrees in a bidirectional flow, we took an air reading at the front of the door, right at where we would consider the neutral plane to be. We were measuring 3/4 of a mile an hour. Flowed water for 5 seconds, 5 feet back from the door, like right where the concrete porch would end, like you were at the first step. And we didn't flow it in a wide fog pattern, we flowed it just a little smaller than a 30-degree pattern. We witnessed about a 150-degree drop.
Wow.
That was at the ceiling. We witnessed about a 100-degree drop at the floor. So we went from about 400 degrees at the floor to about 310. We then, when we set up this room, we removed the window and built a drop window. We just put 2 slides out of wood, and we put a nail hole in a board. And when we wanted to do this again, we took the room back to flashover. And then we had somebody pull the nail so the window would drop. So now it changes my flow path where my intake is my door, my exhaust is my window. I am in true unidirectional flow. At 1112 degrees, I was at 4.8 miles an hour. I opened the nozzle again, second time for 5 seconds on that pattern. I went from 400 degrees at the floor to 150 at the floor. So the question is, did we prove it? Yes, we proved it. So what we proved was, not to mention, in all fairness, I had to flow water, Jesse, and I had to make a right turn, and then travel 16 feet.
That's awesome.
So when you think about, oh, I can't flow water until we're at the, no. You have to, any water is good water. And, well, how do you know? Because I proved it. And that's the stuff we're doing at KTF. That's the stuff we're trying to prove. That's the stuff we're trying to get people to understand. You got to get to the science of this job to understand it. It's a great experience. It's been a great experience, really nice.
Yeah.
And when people see this, my hypothesis is hanging on my college room where I teach. And, every time I do my fire behavior class, I let them read it. And there's the numbers are there. Numbers don't lie. Todd gave me the printout, the actual, you can see every thermocouple where the temperatures were. I can tell you just by looking at the graph where the first nozzle opened, and I can tell you what happened when we dropped that window and flowed the second. And they're all there. And we actually use that as a discussion point in the fire behavior class that we do. So
it's amazing how far we've come in that science and technology. Like, I taught fire behavior years ago at the college, and it was hypothesis based, but really I started off the class in the semester, we watched the movie Backdraft, and by the end it was, okay, at the end of this class I want you to tell me why or why not you can see that fire behavior that you're seeing in the movie. Like that we taught them all the way through, and then at the end it's like, okay, let's watch Backdraft again. Is that possible? And if it is, how is it possible? But we're way past Backdraft today. Actually, it just hit its 30th year anniversary. So, yeah. But
it is amazing. But again, it's trying to get the generation, even the older generation, the administrative level, to buy into the science. And it's not like we're making it up. There's a lot of smart people out there that are proving that this stuff is for real.
Yeah.
How we can get everybody to the table, I don't know.
Well, I'm at the table right now.
This is a good place to start with some ice cream.
And hopefully everybody watching the video will see you at the table, and we'll continue to spread it from there. Thank you very much.
I appreciate the invitation. And thanks again for the ice cream.
And it's been great.
Yeah, it really
My
has.
pleasure.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mike. We're good?